amazing Women Speak podcast, inspiring and motivating every Black woman to own, honor, and execute her amazing, individually and collectively, as it was established at birth.
I'm Crystal L. Gunn, founder of the Amazing Woman Network and host of Amazing Women Speak. Thank you all for tapping in and sharing this with your friends and family so we all can join in this conversation. So each of us is born with God-given talents, powerful talents that could impact others or change the world. Yet for various reasons, we sometimes bury those talents. Fear, insecurity, lack of support, the list could go on and on. We hold on to them. They don't bloom, but they surely never go away. They say the graveyard is filled with ideas, opportunities, and regret. Regret of holding on to those God-given talents. Well, what do you do? So let's talk about it. With buried talents never bloom. So Michele, once again, I thank you for saying yes to Amazing Women Speak. I thank you for sharing your dopeness and facilitating these conversations like only you can. And I thank you for sharing your God-given talents with the world. So let's get it.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. It is once again my honor and privilege to share this screen, to share this space, to be in community with amazing Black women, with another episode of getting to hear a part of their stories, a part of their contributions to the Black diaspora. I'm excited for this conversation tonight. It's odd that, it's not odd because God does everything with intentionality. We've been having a conversation about the parable of the talents. So to have this conversation tonight and the buried talents, I'm excited to hear what Monet and Dr. Tiffany have to share with us. And so we know this is the fastest hour of your day. Facebook, we invite you to be a part of this dynamic conversation. Drop your questions and comments in the chat. We will pull you in. Your voice is necessary for the success of tonight's conversation. I am Michele Harper. It is again my privilege to be in space and community and to get to hear from these amazing women. And let's get started, because before we look up, this hour will have concluded. So let's find out who's in the room with us tonight. Monet Harris, please come in and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Monet Harris. I am out of Detroit, East Side. Had to throw that in there. A little bit about myself. I'm gonna start with my passions. I'm a spoken word artist, comedian, writer, author, educator in some right. Those are my passions, but unfortunately, I won't say unfortunately, because it was my journey. I am currently in marketing and management. So that is the little, I guess, seesaw, if you will say. I'm a mother of two amazing boys, though, 20 and almost 13. Pray for me. Blink twice. The second one. I guess that's it. So, currently my career is business and administration, marketing, but my passion has always been in the arts. So anything arts, I get energy. When I go to work, I'm like, my job was a blessing, just in case my boss is working.
Right.
My story.
Thank you. Excited to hear more about your journey and to discover more of the many talents that you bring into this conversation. Dr. Tiffany.
Yes. Hey, you guys. Thank you so much for having me. I am also from Detroit, West Side. Okay. But I did go to school at Cass Tech, so it's right there downtown.
Yes. So, yep.
Yes. But I live in Conyers, Georgia now, which is just east of Atlanta. I am a veteran educator, transitioned into a mental health clinician. I am now a therapist within the high schools, but I also do private practice. I am the mother of 4. I have had a podcast. I have written books. Currently working on a nonprofit organization, which is a platform for therapy for Black guys.
All right.
Nice.
I love that. Welcome to the conversation, ladies. A couple of things show up every single time we have this conversation. The importance of talking about our tribe, who's in our circle, who is cheering us on, and it's not necessarily the folks that are sitting in the front row. The second, that these conversations are always grounded in faith. As Black women, we know the importance of, and because of that, I do want to start this conversation with And I'm asking you to be patient as I read the scripture of the parable of the talents as a foundation for this conversation. For it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted them with his property. God has entrusted each of us with a thing. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, each according to his ability. Message number 1, how we're always paying attention to what somebody else has. God is giving you according to yours. Now, what are you going to do with what he gave you, be it 5, be it 2, or be it 1? He who had received the 5 talents went at once and traded them, and he made 5 talents more. So also he who had the 2 talents made 2 talents more. But he who had received the 1 talent went and dug it in the ground and hid his master's money. Now, after a long time, the master comes back, and he who had received the 5 talents came forward and gave the 5 plus the 5 more. The master, you delivered to me 5 talents. Here are the 5 I have made for you. His master said to him, well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. What are you doing with your talents? Shall you be like the person who had 5, who had 2, who went out and did the work to double? Or will you be like the person who had 1, out of fear of scarcity, dug a hole and buried it to where it served no man? Where are you with the talents that you have? And how are you using them to the benefit of the Black community, and more importantly, to the glory of God? There's the foundation of this conversation, our buried talents, right? So I launched deep, right? We only have an hour, and we don't do anything in shallow waters. We leave that for the children. So let's dig deep. Monet, tell us about your experience in your journey where you are holding these talents while also being responsible to this corporate world that you are also answering to.
I'll make a long story short. I think where I realized where the epiphany came in was that I allowed other people's opinions to dictate my direction. And it wasn't until I heard you had a purpose well before everybody else had an opinion. And when I started to say
that again,
you have a purpose well before everyone else had an opinion. And I just said, I surrender. But it didn't come without fear. It didn't come without hesitation. It was like, but I still have to take care of this. And what I realized when I thought about the topic, when you're not in your authentic self, you're not running in your truth. It's almost like you're telling God you made a mistake on the gifts you gave me, but also other parts of your life don't bloom. And what I had to realize was that I was locked for 15 years in a relationship that was built off my inauthentic self because I wasn't walking in my truth. And when I began to walk in my truth, I realized I really didn't like that person. And they really didn't like me, but we have 2 children together. So now you're like, okay, but I'm still locked in. So how do I continue to move? And so I still have responsibilities of a home, of children, but I'd rather be here. So anytime I got on the stage, it was always like decrease me and increase you. Whatever heart is meant to hear, it will hear. And I would get so much energy, but it was still back to, but you need to make money. Then that fear of like, if I jumped out and I lost everything, because I lost everything in 2008. And I think that stuck with me. So I lost my house, my job, my car within 30 days with a 5-year-old. And so that sticks to you. Like, I can't let this happen again. But it was like, instead of allowing God to refine and define me, I was like, no, you got to get back to the hustle. And so I've never been without a nice salary, but I was miserable. And so it was like, you can travel, but you're mad. And then you're trying to fill this void with other stuff. You're trying to fill a void with tangible stuff. So I'm probably at my happiest point. And I won't even say happy, because happy is conditional. Joy. And when I grabbed that joy, I was like, I'm not letting it go. And it doesn't matter what the corporate sector says, because God was like, your gifts will make room for you. And so when you start to believe and walk in that, and your family is saying, oh, you're dumb. I left Frito-Lay. Granted, I'm still in corporate America with a different position that has a lot more flexibility to build my dream. But when I left Frito-Lay, oh, you dumb. You leaving that 6-figure. You crazy. You got 2 kids. But I had to realize that those people were attached to the old me. And because they can no longer glean off that individual, it was something wrong with everything I was doing. But I have not lacked. I have not lacked.
Mhm.
So with that journey, and it's still, you still hit that fear button. You still, sometimes it's still like, okay, so I have to bully myself into, you're going to build this business. You actually want to be an educator, and you want to be an educator in everything you do. So now I'm in that role, and yeah, the money don't match, but the money don't match, but it's everything else is starting to match. Everything else is starting to fall through. This podcast, you know what I'm saying? That is like, we get to hear your story, we get to hear your voice. I do motivational Mondays every single Monday, have not stopped for 3 years. And I don't care if I had 3 views, 2 views, 14 views. And I was like, oh man, you got 1,100 views off one. And then now I know how to make reels. Now I know how to work with the technology. My son had to set up my TikTok. So he was like, oh my God, Mom, you know, so he's like, why are you coming on my For You page? I'm like, because God is making a way. Don't delete me. You better follow me. But
I love it.
in that is still a build. And even in attracting my current partner, you know, like he when it came with the old Monet. You know what I'm saying? And so it was amazing to say, okay, oh, he support me. But I'm in here because I was locked in to that particular way of being. I was like, yeah, will you support me? What you want? What you need? You know, so it's because you're locked back here.
Right.
He's like, I got that. I'm gonna pay for it. What are you doing? I'm like, what you want? You know, so it all and I had to realize all of that was affected. Relationships was affected. Relationships with my children were affected because I wasn't walking in my truth. So now I had a little bit of, and now you're taking it out on them because they're the closest thing to you. They're the easiest targets.
Right.
And I was like, man, so now that I'm walking and it's not, I'm not gonna say it's easy. I'm not gonna say once you realize, God, I surrendered to my gift, I got this, we about to rock. He's still like, okay, but you denied me for so many years, so now I'm gonna need you to prove yourself too. I just can't open up these floodgates because I might not know what to do with it. And so now, even in that, I'm rebuilding with my oldest son because he had the bulk of that unhappy Monet.
Right.
You know, and my youngest son, where he doesn't have the bulk of the unhappy Monet, it's like you can see the contrast. See, but you know, God be the glory. God be the, and every day I take that day for what it is, and I live in that present, not worrying about what that future look like. And I'm working consistently on not holding on to that past. Because 2008 has been on my back. It's 2023, you know? So yeah, that's yeah. I know I talk fast too, I'm sorry.
I love that, right? And you said something that's a piece of this that we will need to unpack, right? Like, I don't know, worse than burying your own talent is somebody convincing you, right, that they need to be buried, or you standing by watching them bury because of their discomfort that may come with what you are looking to do. So I'm looking forward to unpacking a little bit more of that. Dr. Tiffany.
Yes.
Come on in here.
Yes.
So tell us about your journey, right? And so there's a shift for all of us always, right? When we recognize that our amazing was established at birth, right? Like what a gift that we knew that from the day we were born, but somewhere along the line, we discover it. And what comes out of that is this beauty that the world sometimes does not know what to do with. And so we silence our dopeness, we silence how amazing we are, and we bury our talents. Tell us about your journey.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out where to start. Something that you just said really stuck out to me. And so let me say this. I am, and it's funny, I am such a dichotomous person. I think many of us are. But I think that when you are raised in the church, it's a very difficult time trying to find that balance. And so for me, even in high school, I wanted to be a sex therapist. I just wanted to be a sex therapist. And I was the friend that would talk to all my friends about sex, and we would go take trips to Planned Parenthood. Like I was the friend that was taking everybody to go find out about birth control and all of that good stuff. But I found that it was very difficult to articulate that you want to be a sex therapist. So I became a teacher, a pre-K teacher, a kindergarten teacher, right? So it's still educating, but still always wanting to be a sex therapist. And so I buried that. I really, really buried that because people don't want to talk about sex. And as a Christian, how do you marry the spirituality and the sexuality? Because we are so often taught that you have to choose one over the other. And so even in my journey now as a sex therapist, as a therapist that specializes in couples and intimacy, it's still a very delicate balance that I have to be like, okay, God, I want you to be pleased in what it is that I'm doing, but I also know that you have called me to do the things that I do. Sex is not comfortable for everybody, and it's so comfortable for me. And so I know that this is something that you have gifted for me to do. Just put me in the spaces where, like Monet said, my gifts will make room for me. As an educator, I absolutely love what I do. But like you said too, Monet, TikTok, I work in a high school. So now I still have to find that balance between, can I really get on social media and talk about sex and intimacy? And how is that going to look for the school system? Because my kids walk in my office, Dr. Hall, we saw you on TikTok. You popped up on my For You page. And I'm like, what y'all see? So it's like still finding the balance with, I feel like I'm the person with the 5 talents. Like I wake up every morning with a new idea and I'm like, God, what you want me to do? What you want? Am I supposed to do all of them? Am I supposed to pass it on to somebody else? I'm a big Beyonce fan, and one of her songs, I Was Here, is one of my motivational songs because I want people to know that I was here. And when I do transition from this life, I don't want to have any regrets. I want to do all of the things that I feel that God has called me to do. And I want to put it all on the floor and leave nothing on the table. Are y'all frozen? Y'all here?
But no, we're not.
We're sitting in it.
Said so many things. I'm like,
right? Yeah, we're sitting in it.
Okay.
So, right, like this thing that is sitting with me is helping us to unpack fear as a motivator, as opposed to being a thing that paralyzes us, right? So to walk away from those 6 figures, the ideal of you needing to be more authentic to who you are, to be true to who you are. You utilize fear as a motivator, as a driver. You didn't allow that to paralyze you. And so many of us need that security as defined by society that will allow that kind of move to paralyze us. How did you move through that?
When you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and the money, the accolades, it doesn't matter anymore. And for me, I was more afraid of dying, not ever realizing my full potential. And it was, I'm going to show my children to go after what they want or what they feel or what they need. And I'm here stuck. And so for me, it was just like, I just woke up one day, I was like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. And it was like, okay, how do you strategically just move? Because I didn't say, here go my 2 weeks. I said, oh no, you got to pay me because I put in too much work. So for me, it was like, I transformed this particular sector of my business. And so let's talk about it. And so I think because of my attitude changed, my boss was like, you're so positive. But that's how she said, you're so positive. And so I was like, So I kept being that way. So I made her uncomfortable. But I knew it wasn't me because it wasn't purposely something I was doing. But I was like, no, I'm ready to, you get ready. When you want to change bad enough, you will change. When you feel like there's no more I can, and I didn't want to die. I was like, I may not wake up tomorrow and I'm here. And I believe wholeheartedly that your talent is connected to so many other people. And I'm like, what's disservice what I do to others if I didn't go after what has been placed in me? And now they're stuck. Or now, you know what I'm saying? It's like, because you don't live for yourself. And my children taught me that in being a good steward, because it's like, I don't own you. God gave me a blessing, so now I'm a steward over you. And I have to cultivate you in a direction in which he is pleasing. And right now, if I'm like chilling, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stay stuck in this box. You're just in a jail cell. You know, I even did a poem about it. I'm like, you're in a cell. And so now you're like, you're fighting against self. And so for me, I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I figured if it didn't work, I have enough in my resume if I wanted to go back. I had enough, so I had to believe it. Like I have, like if it don't work, you just go back and start over, just reset it, And then I stopped listening to people that didn't cultivate me. I wasn't looking for the yes people. I was never looking for people to be like, yes, yes, yes. I wanted people to challenge me to go to the next level. And if iron couldn't sharpen iron, it was something wrong with our friendship. And I believe in Ecclesiastes, like it's a time and a place. And maybe our season is over and we may meet again, we may not. So I'm not mad if I'm not holding on to that childhood friend that's stuck right here, and I'm trying to go right here. And then he said that door is narrow. So you ain't meant to carry everybody with you anyway. So,
you said so much. You said so much. Right, like, and folks are going to have to go back and listen to this episode more than once for the gems that have already been dropped in this first 21 minutes, because we have been so conditioned to hold on to things that no longer are serving us because of longevity, because of fill in the blank with so many things. And the idea that you recognized, right? Like you're hearing, everybody does not get to go. And that's okay. That's that folks are gonna have to sit with that one for sure. So Dr. Tiffany, I really want to talk a little bit more about, right, like you holding these two spaces that in the Christian faith, right, it would shake a finger, clutch the pearls, right, that you want to have these conversations. And so that alone may cause one to bury a talent, right? Even when you knew from an early age that this was in your spirit to do. How did you come through that? What are the conversations? What were the conversations like?
Again, it was just so natural from high school. And I'm telling on myself so much here, but I don't mind. Y'all, I was the kid, and I've said this on podcasts before, so it's already out there, but I was the kid in Farmer Jack's on Greenfield Road. At 8 Mile, okay, across from Northland. I was in that Farmer Jack's as a little kid with the Highlights magazine. My mom is grocery shopping, but I have the Highlights magazine, and inside of the Highlights magazine, I have the Playgirl magazine. Okay. So people are walking by thinking I'm reading highlights, which I did read highlights too. Don't get me wrong. I did highlights too. But I was also looking at Playgirl and reading the articles about sex and love and affection. Like all of that really was in Playgirl. People think sometimes it was just pictures. No, it was actually really good articles. And so I just was always intrigued. And I think my friends did not allow that part in me to be buried, because they constantly, through high school, through college, I was one of the first friends to get married. I was one of the first friends to have a baby. And so they were just always constantly, even now, it's so funny. I sent one of my friends a sex toy this morning. She didn't ask for it. She was just talking to me about a situation. I'm like, oh, I got something for you. Got on Amazon Prime and it's on the way. So I have just always been that person that's been just really excited about talking about relationships and sex and why people do the things that they do when it comes to love and relationships, and very passionate about successful marriages. And I think sex is a big part of that, because when you think about marriage, especially traditional monogamous marriages, the one thing that you're asking your spouse to do is to never have sex with someone else. Yet there are so many sexless marriages and nobody's talking about it. And so I get excited now, like, oh God, you really gave me this. But I just want to make sure that whatever it is that I'm telling the people, you are pleased with. And I still get scared because it's not an easy topic. I don't do anything in churches because I don't think churches are ready for me. And so I do what I do, and I just hope, I'm like, God, please be pleased with me. And opportunities keep arising. And so I'm just assuming that he is.
Yeah, the church not ready.
They not ready. They're not ready. I did do a TikTok and a reel not too long ago. And I said, so listen, I said the same thing I just said to you guys. And I asked, because I do couples counseling. And I said, if this sex is the one thing that you have asked your spouse not to do with someone else, why aren't you having sex with them? I'll wait. And people just look at me.
Wow.
People just look at me and I'm like, no, I really want an answer, because what do you expect them to do? And those conversations, they need to be had. They need to be had, you guys. And that's why people are walking away. I believe that's why people are walking away from the church, because there are so many people that are divorced. I'm divorced. And I feel like there's no place for me. There's no place for me. We have to start having these conversations within the community, within the church, within our groups. I think women talk about sex. I don't know that men do. And that's a problem too, because you have men 40s, 50s that are experiencing reasons why they are not sexually active, but they're not talking to anybody about it. And so there are so many women that are now suffering in silence.
I agree. And like the whole church taboo thing, I think if they cover everything from A to Z, you have a better understanding. People will feel more welcome. You know, I was told comedy and poetry didn't belong in the church, and I was reprimanded. And so that was one of the reasons why I was just like, well, maybe, because I stood in the pulpit before, but I was like, something, God made me goofy for a reason. And I said, he made me goofy for a reason. It's gotta be better than this. And I wasn't a typical Christian comedian. Like, I didn't do a lot of swearing, but it wasn't Jesus this, Jesus that. But they didn't like when I made the Jesus jokes though, about the sandals and stuff. They didn't like that. You know, I gave Jesus a whole new shoe line, you know, and I was saying, I was like, you got them Jesus 3000. And they was like, you're making a mockery. But I was like, how? Like, show me how. And because I'm getting married in October, I want to have a sex talk. Like, you know, like I don't, you know, and then I don't want to be like, oh my God, like, you know, and you dreadful, because it's not it shouldn't be an unscathed topic. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't be ashamed to say, let me go sit and talk to somebody. And it's not a perversion. And that's what I think that we kind of move away from. We just say nothing defiled, and then that's it. And so we just use that one little scripture and we don't follow up with nothing else. Like, how do I keep it though? Like, how do I keep it saucy? You know? And it's just like, we don't talk about that. But then you suffering and you mad, then you wonder why you pent up. Or why, you know, sister so-and-so or brother so-and-so, and you like, and you look and you like, and you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, we have to get away from everything, because the streets will teach you.
The streets will definitely, the streets will teach you. The streets will teach you. And it's funny you said all of that. The joy and the laughter, being a comedian in the church. And it's funny because when I think about God, it's love. Like, everything I do is love. When I do my relationship, my name is Dr. Lovejoy. All my social media stuff it's Lovejoy, my two favorite words. And I believe that God is love. He is joy. He is laughter. And all of those things. So it's crazy how we have these gifts and these talents and things that we want to do that encompass those things. But because of societal expectations or conceptions, we bury them. You know, because of that. And when you started talking, I call it, as a therapist, it's analysis paralysis. When you think about something for so long that you do nothing, and that is very, very dangerous. You got to get out of your head. I think we have to get out of our own way. And like you said, go for it. If it doesn't work out, chances are you can go back to what you're already doing. I have a degree in education. For the rest of my life, I can go to somebody's school district and be a teacher, but that is not where my light is anymore. And for my teachers out there, if it is time for you to go, if you no longer have a heart for children, please leave.
Send them to me. I got a heart for children.
That was for somebody talking about gifts, because I do believe we have a gift to serve. And then sometimes, especially in the field of education right now, there are so many teachers, so many educators who are absolutely burnt out for numerous reasons, but you no longer have a heart for children and you don't need to be there.
And that's okay. Because when you leave, another one comes in. That's I'm like, it's okay. It's okay if that door closed, if you're no longer passionate. It's okay.
Which is why it is so important to not take your one talent and bury it. Right? You need to be able to go to that other space where God has put into you another thing to do. He's not a one-trick pony. We are not one-dimensional. So it is important that we don't bury the one talent that we believe that we are so good at, that that's the only thing that we are ever designed to do. It is important to nurture and grow and multiply the gifts that we have. Chris, I see you leaning in. I want to pay attention to that because I know that move. So yeah, come on in here.
I think it's also really important that we pay attention to the signs, right? And Monet, your story resonated with me like just 14, 15 months ago. Same thing. Walked away from the 6 figures, woke up one day and was like, you know what? I quit, right? But in that instant, that fear kicked in. Well, wait a minute. And then I had to say, okay, God, well, is it okay for me to quit? And there was this peace that came over me that I had not felt in a very, very long time. So much so that I literally was laying in the bed, giggling to myself because of the peace. And then when I, that Monday, told my supervisor that I was done, and he went through this process for the next 3 days of trying to make some sort of amends so that I would stay. And on that third day, I was like, you know what? Because all of the anxiety and the stress started coming back. And I said, no, I can't go back into this thing and give up my peace. And he even said, Crystal, I do admit you sound extremely peaceful right now. But there was the lesson in it for me that showed me sometimes we stay in a place too long. And I had stayed too long. And there would be the fire, and then that fire would, get put out, and then there would be the next fire. It was a little bigger, and we would put that fire out, and then there would be the next one. And what I realized was the fires were going to keep getting bigger because I wasn't supposed to be there anymore. And so many times we stay in those things too long, and it's costing us our peace
and our time.
I was like, no, you got to go do what I told you to do, or you're never going to be at peace. So when is it that you thought, okay, yeah, it's time for me. This relationship, this thing, it's costing me my peace. And like you said, you have to bully yourself out of it. And it's free. So yeah, this is resonating so much with me because I still have to bully myself into doing the things that God told me to do in the first place. So
I think we all do. And I think it's very important to have an accountability person that really, like you, Monet, you said you weren't looking for the yeses and the people that go along with everything you say. You're looking for the people that challenge you. Working on this new idea that I have for therapy, I'm scared. Y'all, I am scared. And I am like, and it's so funny because my conversations with God are, and I'm like, really? And he like, dude, come on. Yeah. I've given you everything that you need in order to do what it is that I need you to do. What are you waiting for? And so as the weeks go by and I feel this fear because I have my accountability partner, we're supposed to meet every week and we give each other these goals and these tasks. And the last task that she has given me to do, I still haven't done it. Y'all, I am afraid. Okay. I am afraid, but I promise you it is going to get done. First of all, because I have an accountability partner and I don't want her to be like, okay, when you get to heaven and God asks what happened to blah, 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 blah. Don't look back at me because I'm trying to hold you accountable. And so that keeps me aligned. And then too, I know that it is very much needed. And so I think a lot of times we really, really do have to get out of our own way and just do it afraid. I don't think that making these decisions, jumping out and leaving 6-figure jobs, leaving the places that we are comfortable, I need people to understand, none of us are saying that even when you have that peace, that means it's going to be easy. Yep. It's definitely not easy. When I transitioned from the classroom, and I quit my job to do my dissertation because I didn't want to be the 7-year dissertation student, the all but dissertation student. And so I quit my job to do that. And so to go from getting a salary and sitting in a library every day for a year, you make sacrifices. And that's what I need people to understand. There are sacrifices that have to be made when you go from that job, even if it's not a 6-figure, to doing what it is that you feel is your gift. Leaving the classroom, and then once I got my degree in counseling, I just thought the counseling jobs were going to come. They did not. They did not. And the school year rolled around, and all these teaching jobs were available. But I knew if I went into a teaching job, if a counseling job became available, I wouldn't be able to take it because I would already be in a contract in a school district. And so I'm like, I even went to an interview, and the principal, she was like, She was like, this not what you want to do. Hurt my little feelings, y'all. I thought I was rocking that interview. She was like, this ain't what you want to do. I'm not about to put you in a classroom. And she was like, and I think you would be amazing. But that is not what you're supposed to be doing right now. And so absolutely not. And from that experience, I did not go to another teaching interview. I'm like, okay, God, we're going to do this. And guess what? I was driving Uber as Dr. Tiffany Hall, waiting for an opportunity. And it took about a month. School had started, and I'm like, maybe I should have went back because I'm out here driving Uber. And I had to wait. And then it happened. And I'm so grateful.
Yeah, right. Like that power in nurturing the thing that you know, right? And so oftentimes we try to take on all 3 roles of planting, watering, and giving the increase, right? Like we start pulling things up out of the ground before they take in root, right? Like in whatever position, the scripture is clear. It's God to give the increase. Right. You've got to continue to water if you've planted according to the word, right? And so the idea that you stayed in that space when there were options, right? Like you're clear today that you could go into a school district. And it's not the thing that was planted in you to do. And so what does it look like when you dishonor your talent?
Ooh, misery.
Like just hearing that made my stomach hurt.
Yeah, it's like a vice grip. It's like a vice, especially when you know. It's different when you don't know. When you still unsure, then it's like, okay, the consequence is not going to be as heavy because he'll protect babies and fools. But when you know, and you done double dutched in and then you done double dutched back out, he like, yeah, I'll make you uncomfortable. I'll make you uncomfortable. I'll make you uncomfortable. But every challenge that you have in getting to that gift, it's not as hard as it would have been if you'd have stayed in that position and faced all those other challenges.
Right.
So, and then, because you don't even remember, you're like, I just dust my shoulders off. I'm because you, but when you know, he like, yeah, how you gonna unknow? Now you know you can't unknow. He said, looking at you, I'm just waiting on you. Like literally, like I was in my prayer closet and I was praying, and he was like, you got everything you need in you. I'm just waiting for you to invite me on in. Right. Man, I just started crying. I was like, because he's like, I'm waiting for your invite. I'm awaiting your invite. And you still like, well, what you doing? Like, what you doing? And I was like, wow, like that was, I had to sit back for a minute. I sat there and just rocked. Like, my son's like, you okay? I'm like, I'm okay. I'm okay. So he's just like, but the peace and the joy and even the small wins are like humongous because you're getting there. You're getting there versus staying where you are. And it's like, what are you doing? Because you can never get time back. Time is most precious because you can never get yesterday back. So you're gonna keep taking yesterday and say, I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it tomorrow. I'm gonna do it next week. He's like, well, what you waiting on? What you waiting on? And you may not have all the pieces, and that's okay. Because if you go to one, he's like, now I'm opening another door. Oh, now I'm about to give you the key to this next door. Oh, now I'm about to shoot you out this window real quick and take you back around the back and bring you back up through the middle. So I'm sorry, I love football too. So that was like up the gut. But I had to realize that my patience, I like instant gratification. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, that's why I don't shop online, because I want it right now. I want it right now in my hand. I gotta go get it. I want it right now. And he's like, I'm gonna work on your patience, and I'm gonna work on your ability to set safe boundaries. And also, I'm gonna show you how to mature in your gifts. So as your character builds, he's revealing something else. Mm-hmm. And he was like, yeah, you don't have the character to hold this right now, so I can't give it to you. But even in your wait in the Uber, you probably driving around like every passenger got in, you was like, You know, he probably like, I'm strengthening your character. So guess what? I'm gonna drop this in, but I gotta get you there. And now I'm like, it's like that. Ooh.
Yeah, that patience.
Yeah. And it's definitely it's you have to have the patience. You said something, Monet, and I was thinking about, you know, your boys and my children. And I think, of course, as wives, as mothers, we have so many other responsibilities that we have to do. And so for the mothers, because I know a lot of mothers that are putting things off, like you said, that time goes by. I remember I always wanted my name to be, I worked at Rite Aid, and no, it was Perry back in the day in Detroit. And there was a lady that owned a daycare, and she would come in and write a check. And on her check, it said Dr. whatever her name was. And she didn't look, she wasn't a medical doctor. And so I remember asking her, like, what do you do? And she's like, well, I have a doctorate in education. I own a chain of daycares. And from that moment, I just wanted my name to be Dr. Tiffany, whatever the last name was going to be. Okay. And so I got the master's, got married, had 4 babies, didn't go to school. So then I was mad at myself because I'm like, you're getting old, girl, you're getting old. And you still don't have this doctor in front of your name. And so I remember calling admissions, the admissions counselor, and she was like, an older lady. She was like, baby, listen, these 3 years, they're going to pass, whether you get started or not.
Right.
So why don't we go ahead and get you enrolled today? And when I tell you all, during that process and writing the dissertation, my friend brought me a little plaque that said it seems impossible until it's done. It has now been done for 8 years. So to the mothers out there, I know it's difficult. Yes, it is very difficult to balance going after your gift, doing whatever it is that you feel that you have been called to do. But do not use your kids or any other outside factor to talk you out of doing what it is that you have been called to do. And I believe a calling, anything that has been placed in your heart, it was placed in my heart back then to become Dr. Whatever. And I didn't know then that I was going to have 4 children and I was going to be working a full-time job and all of these other things. But if it doesn't go away, if it does not go away, it is obviously something to me that is meant for you to do. And so do it. You might not be able to do it full time at first. Maybe you got to do it part time. You might not be able to quit your job at first, you know, build it up a little bit. And then when you have peace about leaving, you leave. I'm all about peace, Monet. So I'm glad you've been saying that. Peace is so important. Sometimes we get ready to make a decision and it's for me, I feel it. If it's not sitting well with you, it's not time. And that's okay. God still may have something else to do, but when it is time, there will be peace. There will be a smile on your face and joy in your spirit and comfort in your heart when it's time for you to move on, even if you don't know what that looks like.
Yeah, I like that, right? Because in the middle of all of that, there's still going to be frustration. There's still going to be no's. There's still going to be tears. And it does not mean you don't show up, right? Right. But again, the scripture is clear. He gave all some. No one was left out, right? So you got to go through it and be able to handle your job, which is either to plant or water, right? And stay in it through the tears, knowing that the joy of the work, because you honored the gift that God gave you, right? So Monet, what would you tell your younger self?
I would tell my younger self that no matter the storm, you're going to get through it. Just like everything else, you're going to get through it. Just like everything else will pass. I would tell my younger self, definitely turn a deaf ear to those that, and you know, because it's welling up in your belly that you knew what you were supposed to, that are telling you no. And just say, it's okay that you don't agree. But I'm going to take your no as okay. I'm going to let you have that. I'm going to let you hold on to that. I'm not mad at you. And the only validation you need is from him and from yourself. You don't owe nobody nothing. Like, do not do yourself a disservice, because there's so many other people that's waiting for your gift to be unwrapped. And I'm telling myself, I am powerful.
Yeah, your gift is necessary. Otherwise, God would not have given it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dr. Tiffany,
Ooh, that gave me chills.
Yes.
what would you give? What message would you give to your younger self?
Um, let me say. Um, I think mine would just be procrastination. Uh, just and overthinking. Oh, I'm so
Mm,
Oh
mm,
my gosh. I am all the things, the only child, and as a therapist, I look into all of that, your birth order, all of that, astrology, all of that. And so I am the Pisces, the free flowing creative spirit, and I am an only child. And so I spend a lot of time by myself, and I'm just all up in here. Perfection. I'm a perfectionist. I want things to be perfect, and I want them to be right. And we overthink. And then there comes that analysis paralysis again. And so I think in doing all of that, then it causes me to procrastinate. In saying this, I'm thinking about one of my really good friends, Lisa Prince. There's this game with friends. I don't know if y'all have ever played this with your friends. It's supposed to be with your close friends, but you guys are supposed to go around and like tell each other about yourself. I don't know who came up with this game, but I didn't like it. I did not like it. And we played this game in our early 20s. And I don't know why we did this, but Lisa said to me, Tiffany, you have some really good ideas, but you don't finish anything.
Mm.
When I tell y'all, that hurts. It hurts. It hurts so deep. But I was like, oh, okay, Lisa, like you ain't have to say that. But she was like, no, for real. I love you. You have some great ideas. Finish one. So now when I start something, because I tell you, I get a new idea every day. So I'll start something, and then the next day I'm jumping, and I hear Lisa, finish something, finish one. And so for the people, and we're talking about people that are they just like they're calling, they know what they're supposed to be doing, but maybe they're afraid to do it. We have to be disciplined to finish something and to see it through instead of jumping. But there are people that don't know what they are called to do. They don't know what their purpose is. They don't know what they're passionate about, what they're excited about. And I get that in therapy often. And it's for me, because like I said, I get an idea every day. But there are people that really, really don't know. And so for those people that are listening to this that are like, well, dang, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know what my gifts are. My first thing is, are you a spiritual person? If so, tap into that. Ask God to show you what is it that he has purposed for your life. But then also there are all types of inventories that you can take. There are some that are spiritual. There are some that are obviously in corporate. And then I always think about, what would you do for free? What is something that you would do for free? That's something that you could be passionate about, and that's what you can turn into profit. Donald Lawrence has a song, The Gift. I love that song. I absolutely love that song. Operate in your gift, and your gift will make you prosperous. I can talk to people about relationships and sex all day long, and nobody has to pay me. I love when they do, but that is something that I am passionate about. And so I feel like that is my gift. That is my calling, and to make people feel comfortable in talking to me. Therapy is not easy. And so I have the gift of making people feel comfortable and opening up. So people have to find out what comes natural for you to do.
So last week we were having a conversation, and one of our guests said something that immediately made me go to the scripture. And I wish I had the scripture at the beginning of the season, because it is a perfect way for us to wrap these conversations. And it's in Isaiah 30, because we all get stuck and we're all waiting for this big old sign to tell us what to do next. When the scripture says to us, when you were acting on obedience to his word. I'm not talking about when you do something that the world is saying, right? Like when you are acting on obedience, whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it.
Mm.
Stop standing, doing nothing, waiting for a miraculous sign.
Mhm.
If you are moving in faith,
Mhm.
whether you go left or whether you go right, God's got your back.
Mhm.
You've got to make the move, right? And so whatever, while you're trying to figure out what your talent is, standing still is not the answer, right?
Absolutely.
You have a gift. Go discover what that thing is. Just be careful not to bury it. Just be careful not to bury it. Monet, how can people find you?
They can find me on various social media sites. This is my radio voice. I am on, I'll say TikTok. I am on TikTok at mo.excitement without the first E. So it's mo.x. Hold on. XICITMENT 24/7 and mo_excitement on IG. And of course, Monet Michele on Facebook. Yes, that's it. Yes.
Okay, wait, Monet, now, because I didn't get it. So I know everybody else talking. And I got my pen and my notepad, and all I got is Monet Mitchell on Facebook. So can you say that again, please, ma'am?
So, yeah. So Monet Michele, without the Monet Michele on Facebook, and then
Monet Michele. Okay.
it's mo.xcitement 24/7 on TikTok, and IG is the same thing except with the underscore instead of the dot. So it's mo_excitement 24/7.
Got you.
Bye.
Okay. Okay.
That is me.
Dr. Hall, how can folks find you?
Okay, so and I call it Tickety Talk. That's what I say. Hey, Tickety Talk. On TikTok, I am at Dr. Tiffany Lovejoy, traditional Tiffany, DRTIFFANY, Love, LOVE, Joy, JOY. And on Instagram, I am Dr. Lovejoy Therapist.
I love it. I love it. I told you fastest hour of your day.
Yes.
So as we get ready to wrap this up, Monet, you can't be a spoken word and not give us a taste.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you a smidgen.
Okay, we'll take a
Oh,
smidgen.
I forgot YouTube. Mo for show is MO, the number 4 SHO. That's my YouTube. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a little something. Okay. Want to hear? Here you go. What is that off of? In Living Color.
Here you go.
And I quote, I am a poetess, flirting with a pen that doesn't seem to like my hand. Sometimes my thoughts I feel were raised and when cut bleeds the page. I'm gonna be honest. I am broken. I am that skipping beat, verse, rap, song, and dance trapped in the song has been. My outsides are shining, while my insides are decay, harvesting the waste of a Katrina while my eye calms the storm. And that calm is captured in the laughter and energy perfectly delivered, evidenced by the reactionary imagery of my audience. Sound performer I am. When my destiny and my fantasy collide, I use a collection of other souls' laughter to soothe the duality of this complex personality.
Yes, yes. Thank you for sharing that gift with
I
us.
love it. I love it.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
So
It's
very
beautiful. Miss Crystal, Miss Michele. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Dr. Tiffany, I already wrote it down already. I was taking notes. I was like,
I love it. I absolutely, I love it.
So back when Michele and I had this conversation about Amazing Women Speak, and she immediately said yes, I really had no idea the impact that it would have. And I am always blown away by the stories and the journeys of the guests that we have on here, and just how incredibly amazing they are. And oftentimes I think, okay, yeah, guy, you told me to do this for the people listening, but you also told me to do it for me, right? Because every single show, I get something from the guests that make me keep going. And I appreciate that. So I appreciate your stories, your candor, your honesty, your transparency. Somebody was definitely blessed today, and someone got some chuckles today as well, because both of you are absolutely wonderful and funny. I absolutely thank you. This is really my first time meeting both of you and blown away. And that's the other thing that this show has done. It has connected us with some women from around the world and introduced some women to other women around the world that they may not have had the opportunity to come in contact with had it not been for Amazing Women Speak. So I think, Michele, we're doing the thing that we're supposed to do. And I'm definitely honored to do this thing with you. So thank you, ladies. I definitely appreciate it. Amazing Women Speak is sponsored by the Amazing Women Network, which was created to empower and unite Black women globally, focusing on our core pillars of reclaiming our personal power, mind, body, and spirit, reclaiming our financial power, and increasing our social involvement. And we strive to help each woman own, honor, and execute her amazing as it was established at birth. And I think we did a little more of that today. You can find Amazing Women Speak on YouTube, Spotify, and Roku. And do me a favor, go and share, subscribe, so that more people get to hear the messages that we have. Buried talents never bloom. Stop holding on to them, because it's going to negatively impact your life. God's never going to let up on you. Like Monet said, he's just waiting on you to invite him in. And I promise, once you do, be prepared. Be prepared for all the things that are going to happen. Because when you say, God, use me as you see fit, God is going to do just that. Right? So be ready. I thank you all again. My name is Crystal Gunn. I am a Black woman, and I absolutely own my amazing. Michele.
Thank you, Crystal. Once again, I do not walk away from this hour without saying thank you for being obedient to the call that God put on your life, to create a platform where amazing Black women get to come and share their stories, their joy, their laughter, their tears. In a positive way, you continue to create space where the world is telling us that we are not supposed to support and love one another. You keep that door open without apology. And for that, you will always get a yes from me. I'm more than grateful that I get to walk this journey and be considered your BFF. My name is Michele Harper. I am a Black woman, and without apology, I own my amazing. Dr. Tiffany.
Yes, yes. Oh, I love it, y'all. I love it. This is so exciting. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you to my friend who referred me to you, Crystal. I appreciate it. Monet, you got one more follower. I'm being there. I'm looking. Okay. And I can't wait till you start your tours, honey. We're here in Atlanta, and I will definitely be there. And so keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Okay. So thank you guys for having me. My name is Dr. Tiffany Hall. Y'all hear that? Doctor.
Yes.
Tiffany. I did it.
Yes.
I did it. My name is Dr. Tiffany Hall. I am a Black woman, and I absolutely, without a doubt, unapologetically own my amazing.
Yes. Yes. Monet, close us out.
I appreciate the opportunity. I know this landed on the hearts of people that needed to hear it. I know they're going to share it. I am very, very thankful for this platform. I started not to say anything in a group chat, and I was like, no, do it. No, so this has blessed me more than I even anticipated. So thank you. And my name is Monet Harris. I am a Black woman, and I am unapologetically own my amazing.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Join us next Sunday at 7, where our topic is, I have a say in this. See you next week. enjoy the rest of your evening.
Awesome. Peace and blessings, y'all.